All right, this morning or whenever you're looking at this video, we are going to be looking at a grammar lesson. It's called Verb Principal Parts. You need to have a document with you that you have in your binder. So get your binder. You're going to be looking for Verbs, and More Verbs, page 14. Put this on pause and go get that, and be sure to get something to write with as well. Verb principal parts. First thing I want to say is that I noticed just yesterday when I was looking at this document that I spelled principal two different ways, so I don't get a good grade for spelling in this document. Principal in principal parts is spelled P-R-I-N-C-I-P-A-L, so feel free to change and correct any of my mistakes through this document. Principal parts of verbs means main parts. That's all it means, just main parts. And there are four terms for the principal parts of a verb. They are present, present participle, past, and past participle. Now you know these parts of the verbs very well because you've been using them for months. You just may not have remembered what they were called. So the four principal parts or main parts of a verb: present, present participle, past, past participle. Read along with me on this document. For a regular verb, this is what the principal parts look like. We're going to look at the verb to learn. And you remember what regular and irregular verbs are because we've just not too long ago talked about regular and irregular verbs and the difference between them. For the verb to learn, the present is simple. I learn. You learn, he learns, we learn, you learn, they learn. The present participle, learning. I am learning, you are learning, he is learning, we are learning, you are learning, they are learning. The present participle you will recognize as the form we use to make the continuous tenses. And with the present participle, we use the helping verb to be. So we've learned present, I learn, present participle, I am learning. Past, this is pretty easy, learned. I learned, you learned, he learned. And the past participle for a regular verb is the same, adding an ed, learned. I have learned, he had learned, we will have learned. The past participle is the form of the verb that we use to create the perfect tenses. And you're perfectly familiar with the perfect tenses. With the past participle, we use the helping verb to have. Now let's look at an irregular verb. And you'll be familiar with this one because we've gone over it before. For an irregular verb, this is what the principal parts look like. It depends on how the verb is structured. We're going to use the verb to break. The present is I break. You break, he breaks. The present participle, breaking. I am breaking, you are breaking, he is breaking. The past, this is an irregular verb now, broke. I broke, he broke, you broke. The past participle for this irregular verb is broken. I have broken, they had broken, we will have broken. Now to repeat, you're familiar with these main parts of the verbs, with these principal parts, because you've been using them in continuous tenses and perfect tenses for a long time. Let me review this. The present participle is used for forming the continuous tenses. Let me say that again. Try to get this in your brain. The present participle is used for forming the continuous tenses, and you're very familiar with the continuous tenses. I am planning, she is planning, they will be planning. For an irregular verb, I am breaking, she is breaking, they are breaking. That's pretty consistent for the continuous verbs, the ing ending on the verb. With the past participle for irregular verbs, it's going to be different. The past participle is used for forming the perfect tenses. For a regular verb, I have planned, the ed ending. You have planned. She will have planned. But the irregular verbs have different past participles. For example, to break, I have broken. He has broken. She will have broken. Now I want you to look at the charts that you have down at the bottom of your page. Let me make a little bit of a note beforehand, and you have this information in the italicized type. We know that things are not always spelled consistently. Spelling rules and irregular spelling sometimes affect how the principal verb parts are written. For example, practice becomes practicing, and notice what we did with practicing. We omitted the silent E and added the IND. Try becomes tried, change the Y to I, and then we add the ED. Study is very similar. Study is studied. We change the Y to I, and then we add the ED, etc. And some verbs have simply unusual past participles, like the verb to weep. The past participle is wept, W-E-P-T. For the verb to sweep, the past participle is swept, S-W-E-P-T. And then we have leap, which in the past participle could be leaped with an ED, or it could be leaped with a T. And some people pronounce that L-E-A-P-T as leapt. Burn is another irregular verb. The past participle can be burned, B-U-R-N-E-D, but it can also be burnt. Now look at the chart below. We're going to fill in together maybe 2 or 3 of these verbs, so I'll show you how to do this exercise, and then you're going to finish each chart by yourself. The first chart is regular verbs. This should be easy for you. The first verb we're doing is to study. The present form of the verb to study is simply study. I study. The present participle is I am, try to fill that in, studying. The past is studied. Write these in as you go along. The past participle is I have studied. Try to say these before I get to them if you can. Let's look at the verb to cook, another regular verb. I cook. That's the present part of the verb. Present participle, I am cooking. That's the continuous tense that you recognize. The past is I cooked, ED, and the past participle is I have cooked. That's what we use to form the perfect tenses. And one more, practice. To practice, the present main part is I practice. The present participle is I am practicing. The past is I practiced. And the past participle is I have practiced. Okay, I'm going to leave you 4 and 5 to do. You're going to have to complete those when we're done with this video lesson. Let's look at a couple of irregular verbs. We'll do 2 or 3 of them. The first irregular verb is to drive. The present part is I drive. The present participle is I am driving. The past is, no, it's not regular, so it's I drove. And the past participle is I have, can you fill it in? I have driven. Write those down. Let's look at sweep. The present is I sweep. The present participle is I am sweeping. The past is I swept. That's a very irregular verb. And the past participle is I have swept. And we'll do one more because this one has an unusual past and past participle. The verb to lead, I lead. I am leading. What's the past of lead? Led, L-E-D. And I have led, L-E-D. The last 2 you're going to do by yourself. Now, I have another worksheet for you that is in your packet. And what it does is it repeats this teaching so that you can read it one more time in a slightly different way. This is from one of the workbooks, and it's page 103. I'm going to hold it up. It looks like this. You're going to see the page number 103 down at the bottom, and you're going to fill this in. This is your next assignment, not for today, but for the next time you do grammar. This is your next assignment. Should be Tuesday that you're watching this video. This assignment is for Thursday, and it's going to have you do 10 verbs, all 4 parts. That closes our grammar lesson for today. Hope you have a good, productive day, a blessed day, and a safe day. See you again next time.